Hey guys, I'm Julian. First, if you don't speak English, please turn on the caption below, turn on the subtitles. Today's video is about the ultimate guide to acquire Paraguay permanent residency. If you have followed up with my videos, you'll know that I'm trying to acquire Paraguay permanent residency by myself, alone, without any help from brokers. But I have to tell you that I ended up working with a Korean tourism agency, a kind of a broker, but officially registered, based in Asunción, Paraguay, and it worked out pretty well. I acquired my permanent residency in less than 4 weeks since the day I applied for the permanent residency, and I got my cedula, an ID card, in less than 1 week. So I'm gonna explain you how the whole process went for me. Uh, but before I tell you the benefits of working with a broker, I'll explain how you can acquire Paraguay permanent residency alone, all by yourself. Because I don't want this video to be seen as an advertisement for the broker I worked with. I'm not affiliated with the broker, and I get no monetary benefit by introducing you the way you work with the broker. I'm just telling you based on my experience and recommend you that way. But you can certainly acquire Paraguay permanent residency without a broker. So let's go. First, let's talk about required documents. You need a birth certificate. As far as I know, this should be very easy to get in many Western countries. But in Korea, there's no such thing like a birth certificate. So I brought a family relation certificate and translated it into Spanish at the Korean embassy in Paraguay. It was free at the Korean embassy, but it cost me a lot to authenticate at the Paraguay Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You need to do that along with another document, and that is where the second document comes in. The second document you need is a police certificate from the country of origin. And if you stayed a fairly long time in a third country, you also need a police certificate from that country. You need to translate it into Spanish and authenticate it at the Paraguay Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So the way it works is that the consul at the embassy of your country in Paraguay authorized that this is an authentic document and they put their signature on it. Then you bring the two documents, the birth certificate and the police certificate, to Paraguay Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the ministry authenticate that the signature is from the consul in the country, Paraguay. This process takes about a few hours, so you can come back a few hours later or the next day. It costs around $100 to authenticate the two documents at Paraguay Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The third document you need is a Paraguay tourist visa. There's so much false information on the internet that you don't need a visa if you hold a passport that doesn't require a visa to enter Paraguay. Uh, this is simply not true. You do need a visa. Again, you need a visa. Trust me, I've gone through this whole process. If you go back to my previous video, you'll see a video about getting a Paraguay tourist visa. I pondered if I really need it because at the time I wasn't working with the broker, but I called the Paraguay embassy in Seoul, Korea, and the officer there confirmed that I do need a visa to apply for Paraguay permanent residency. So you cannot directly apply for Paraguay permanent residency as a visa waiver tourist status. You must enter Paraguay with a valid visa. Before the coronavirus, it was pretty easy to solve this problem, you just need to go to Florida, Argentina, to get a Paraguay tourist visa. It took only a few hours. But these days, because the Argentine border is closed, you need to apply for Paraguay tourist visa at Paraguay embassy in your country. And it is gonna take like 1 week, and the process is gonna be a little more strict. You can check out my previous video. So my advice is that you need to apply for Paraguay tourist visa in your country if you are coming here in Paraguay during the pandemic. But you don't need to do that if you come here while the Argentine border is open. The visa costs you like $100. And the fourth document you need is the proof of authentication of your tourist visa. So you need to submit a proof of authentication of your tourist visa. And I don't understand why there is so much false information out there that you don't need a visa. You do need a visa, and after entering Paraguay with the visa, you need to authenticate the visa because there is a fake visa. You can do that at Paraguay Ministry of Foreign Affairs. All these are different buildings with the same name on Google Maps. For the details, please refer to my previous videos. It costs you like $20, literally in the US dollars. For any other processes, you need to pay in Guarani. But for the visa application and the verification of the visa, you need to pay in US dollar. It takes like a few hours. And the fifth document you need is a translated version of your passport. I did this at the Korean tourism agency in Asuncion, the broker I mentioned earlier. That's how we got connected with each other. But it is likely that you're not Korean and you need to translate your passport into Spanish with a proper translator. It's not so expensive. It's cheap actually. The sixth document you need is the copy of your tourist visa with an entry stamp. It's fairly easy. You need to copy those pages and notarize them. The seventh document you need is the Interpol certificate saying that you have a clean criminal record. You can find the Interpol in Asuncion by looking up on Google Maps. It's not so cheap, but not so expensive. It takes you 1 day to get the Interpol record. You need to prepare your passport photos and the notarized copy of your passport. The eighth document you need is a police record in Paraguay, not from your country of origin. Please refer to my previous video for this. It is super fast and you don't need to wait. I got this police record immediately. You need a notarized copy of your passport. The ninth document you need is the health certificate. You need to go to a lot of places to get this done. You should start from Ministerio de Salud. They will give you a list of health tests you need to go through. These are yellow fever vaccine, skin health tests, psychological health tests, blood tests including HIV, a cardiovascular health test. And once you're done with everything, you have to go back to Ministerio de Salud and get stamped. These are all free. In the end, you get the health certificate. Be mindful that one of the tests could take you like 2 weeks. So I would highly recommend you to start this process first before preparing any other documents. The 10th document you need is the proof of your address, vida y residencia. This is the most tricky one. There's no detailed information on the internet. But actually, you need a utility bill to prove your address, like water supply, electricity, and a phone bill. The thing is, a lease usually lasts at least 6 months in Paraguay. So you need to keep that in mind and find your own solution. Additionally, you need copies of cedulars from two residents uh, living near Asunción, the Asunción metropolitan area. You need their declaration and the copies of their cedulars. It may be also a tricky one if you don't have any friends here. You can get vida y residencia at a local police station. The 11th document you need is the proof of your deposit. You must be aware that you need to deposit $5,000 in the National Bank of Paraguay during the permanent residency process, right? The exact amount can vary, but it is around $5,000. And you need to do that in Guarani, not the US dollars. The US dollar was previously accepted, but not anymore. So you have to exchange US dollars in Guarani and deposit it at Banco Nacional de Fomento, the National Bank of Paraguay, and get the proof. Lastly, the 12th document you need is the law-abiding covenant, saying that you are going to comply with all the Paraguay laws. You can do that at the public notary's office, escribanía en español. After preparing all these 12 documents, you need to make 2 copies of each and notarize all of them because you need them later when you apply for foreigners registered card and cedula. After the application, you have to wait for 6 months to 12 months. The minimum is 6 months. It recently has changed. Previously, it took like 3 months to 6 months, but now it takes 6 months to 12 months. I have already met a local resident who waited for more than 1 year to get her son's permanent residency. So keep in mind. And it also takes you 1 month to get cedula after getting permanent residency. That's actually why I gave up to apply for the permanent residency alone and decided to work with a broker. I already mentioned the tricky points on vida en residencia in my previous video, right? Check it out if you haven't already. So you actually need to live here or lease a room for at least 6 months to get utility bill to get vida en residencia. It was no problem for me because 6 months was no problem for me. But what changed my mind was that I may need to wait for more than 1 year. So I decided to work with a broker, a Korean tourism agency. So from now on, I'm going to tell you why I would recommend you to work with a broker. But if you're not interested, you can skip this part and apply for permanent residency alone. So here are the benefits of working with a broker. You only have to wait for 1 month to get permanent residency and 1 week to get a cedula. So the total is like 5 weeks. Or if you are a location independent entrepreneur who are already making enough income, but you are not available in Paraguay for 1 month, there's an option for staying only 1 week in Paraguay. The broker will walk you through the processes in 1 week, actually from Monday to Friday. You're all set. You can fly to wherever you want, and the broker will send your permanent residency card and cedula on your way. But this option is more expensive than just waiting in Paraguay for 5 weeks. I simply waited for 5 weeks, and I think it is still a good option if you're not in rush. You can spend the 5 weeks to get to know Paraguay. It is always interesting to know a new country, isn't it? But I heard that most people only stay here for 1 week and they leave and they get their residency card and cedula via DHL. So it's your choice. So how do they get everything done in 1 week? They have good connections, so you don't need to prepare a utility bill to get vida in Residencia. What shortens the preparation time is that you don't need to wait for 2 weeks to go through the health test. The broker will walk you through it and you'll get this done within a few days. And I'm not sure if this is a benefit, but you don't need to say a single Spanish word if you work with a broker. But obviously, it would make sense to learn a little Spanish if you have Paraguay in your mind. So, this is how I got my Paraguay permanent residency. This is a totally legitimate way to get Paraguay a permanent residency. If you go to Paraguay Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you'll see dozens of local brokers in front of the building. They will argue that they will help you get residency very quickly. But from what I heard from the Korean embassy in Paraguay, they are all liars, and many of them will ask you for more and more money, and time will fly without having you getting permanent residency. So the embassy warned me. That's why I didn't trust the local brokers and went to the Korean tourism agency. The price was reasonable. The process was quick, and throughout the process, the agency was very kind and responsive. When you think of the price, the total price they ask you includes all the application fees, and they drop you off at every single place you need to go to apply for permanent residency. If you do it alone, it will already cost you almost like $1,000 for paperwork, and you will also pay for Uber. So many rides. It's not possible for foreigners to get around here with public transportation. You'll see what I mean once you get here and try to get around with buses. So the price is not very expensive, considering it all includes the application fees, and you don't need to ride Uber to go to government offices, and you don't need to keep $5,000 for 6 months to 12 months. Only 1 month is enough. That's a great advantage. If you want to get connected with the broker I work with, just send me a message through my Facebook page. If you go to the introduction page on my YouTube channel, you'll find my Facebook page, Digital Nomad Julian. Just drop me a message and I'll forward your inquiry to the agency. Again, I don't get any monetary compensation by connecting you with the agency, but I'm just hoping to help you because it is so important to work with a trustful broker in this country, or otherwise you'll get ripped off. So this is the ultimate guide to get Paraguay permanent residency. How do you like it? If you have any questions, leave your comments below. I'll see you soon. Stay tuned. Bye bye.